hot, hot, hot fire. Miami's hot, 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 hot fire. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode review of The Real Housewives of Miami. And this is season 7, episode 6, and this is called Major Red Flags. And before we get into it, I think I kind of addressed this in my last video, but if you didn't, go on the last video, let me address it now. I'm not on camera, and I won't be on camera at all for the reviews I do, because I have one more review to do. I have The Real Housewives of Orange County to do next. I'm not going to be on I'm not going to be in the camera because I'm in between hairstyles right now, and Vandy wins. So until I get my hair did, which will be soon, I'm actually planning on getting it done, doing it tonight, which y'all will see that. I won't be on camera. So that's kind of what's going on. That's pretty much it. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, also one more thing I should probably mention too. I do these reviews differently than probably most. I don't go in order. And it works for Atlanta, and I think I'm just going to continue the trend where I don't necessarily go in order. Also, too, it helps when it's a filler episode, and this to me felt like a little bit of a filler episode. Let me know what your thoughts were. I liked the episode, I just didn't love it. I think just for me, I just need a little bit more to be going on. And pardon the pause, I was taking some of my water because my throat was starting to get a little hoarse here. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into it, and we'll just kind of go in order of what's going on with the ladies and go from there. Okay, so basically in this episode, what I will say, this was a continuation of last episode for the most part, where they do end up going to Alexia's event, and it's the shady producers is saying, this is Alexia, now about Todd's narcissistic party. It's a weird event, honestly. It's confusing. They're all dressed in like Greek goddess outfits, but then yet they're just walking around kind of like an Instagram looking type of situation where there's just different messages, like motivation messages about narcissism, and no one gets it. And I mean, it is not meant for you to get it. I feel like I think in Alexia's delusional mind, she thought it made sense, even though she's literally probably has the most narcissistic characteristics out of the group. But they all kind of do, and they kind of just make a joke of it. The only person that's really super not taking it seriously at all and just kind of ignoring the whole entire theme is Lisa. And it's very foreshadowing this episode of her doing that, because then, of course, they end up playing a shady game after they get done doing this walkthrough, and it, of course, does not end well. As most shady games do not end well in these type of housewife shows. So, yeah, that's kind of what happens there. But yeah, everyone pretty much thinks that this is about Todd. And really, when it comes to this episode, when it comes to Alexia, this episode, because we're just going to talk about Alexia real quick. After her event, she does end up consoling Lisa because things go wrong with Lisa in the event. We'll get more into it when we talk about her. And tries to pep talk her and keep her positive, because Alexia does not like that Larsa and Lisa still have issues. She wanted it to be wrapped up, and really it should have been wrapped up, but it's being dragged. And really, in my personal, it's definitely being dragged by Larsa, because what else would we be talking about if Larsa didn't have this conflict? But at the same time, Lisa's also not doing herself any favors. Like, two things can be true. Larsa goes to hell when it comes to all of her clapbacks, and she's self-absorbed and kind of selfish, but also too, so is Lisa. So this clash was bound to eventually happen, so there's that. But as far as Alexia is concerned, that's pretty much all she really has going on this episode, is the event itself and consoling Lisa. Next, let's talk about Well, let's talk about some of the friend ofs. Get them out of the way. So Kiki and Mirasol, this episode, they had their confessionals, but they really weren't that involved. Past the commentary that they had when it came to the group event. And that again was at the very beginning of the episode. Um Kiki shared her issues that she has with Lisa, because a lot of her issues technically, I mean, they got resolved, but last season they clashed when it came to Lisa being self-absorbed, and this basically comes back up again when it comes to the game of it all. We'll get more into what the game is a little bit more once we get to Lisa, because it did come off like the girls were ganging up on her. Like they started off ganging up on Gertie, and then seems like now they moved on. Once they figured out that was the wrong road. But yeah, it's interesting because with Gertie, I feel like when you look at her, she's not as easy of a like. It comes off when you go after Gertie, comes off bullying. But when it comes to the ladies going after Lisa, like even Kiki agreeing with certain sentiments of what some of the ladies were saying about her, same thing with even with like Mirasol. It's because what they're saying about her, they're not really lying. She is self-absorbed, like extremely self-absorbed, and last season especially, she was unbearably self-absorbed. She was so annoying. I even though Larsa was just vile and just horrible last season, especially how she did Gertie, I was equally annoyed with Lisa, but for a different reason. She just was very much about herself and just very like nothing else mattered but what's going on with her. And this is basically a case this episode of it coming back around, because now, based off the game, it all came back up because clearly it wasn't resolved. And also her showing up late to this event did not help her at all. So there's that. Okay, so since we're talking about Lisa, let's go ahead and talk about her. So the other thing with Lisa that took place, basically what happened was when they decided they were going to play this game, the game was called, they basically would have to put a red flag in anytime. They basically were naming off different type of narcissistic traits, and they would have to put a red flag in a vase, and the vase had the names of all the ladies. And basically it was a tally. They would tally up who would get the most flags. And basically every single case, Lisa got the most flags, which all the questions were very much accurate. Now some of the questions, it was like, okay, Larsa really probably should have been the one who got more flags, but because most people don't have problems with Larsa right now, they're not doing that. And then there was other cases where they basically all should have voted for themselves because one of the questions I think was about who talks about themselves like more than anyone else. It's just like, well, y'all all do, otherwise y'all wouldn't be on the show. Like, to a certain degree, you all have narcissistic type traits. And then even Stephanie, she called it out when they were talking about it. Like, are we celebrating something? I'm confused. And I know she was trying to make a joke out of it, but I was like, okay, this isn't really landing the way you think it's landing. But to her point, though, I will say that she did have a point. Executives, people higher up in the food chain when it comes to corporate America and stuff like that, you're going to have some narcissistic traits. Like, having some narcissistic traits isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just when you're actually full-blown narcissist, that's bad. And this self-help person, Daniel, he was just kind of there. I didn't understand the purpose of him being there. I honestly didn't even really understand the purpose of this whole entire thing other than to stir up drama and to make Lisa their new target. That's all it seemed like it did for me here. But anyway, I digress. So Lisa was just basically getting offended easily every single time she just kept getting most of the flags, even though the statements were true. Um, especially one where does she always play the victim? And then what proved it right, which is kind of unfortunate, was she was playing the victim with this game where everyone else were also getting voted on, but because she made such a big deal of it, it made people vote for her more. And I noticed that was what was happening. Like, especially Kiki, she wasn't going to do it. But then after a while, they're just like, okay, now you're just doing the most. You're being so extra. You're making everything about you. And she definitely did that. So, um, basically, the other thing that happened this episode with Elisa, once she basically got really upset and started crying, um, we had some of the girls try to console her, but really only two out of everyone tried to console her. And then after that, then we'll get more into how Gertie tried to help Larsa and Lisa patch things up. Because as all this is going on, Lisa and Larsa are continuously making digs at each other this whole entire time. They do end up meeting up later on in the episode to try to patch things up. We'll get a little bit more into that. Well, let's talk about Larsa now. Let's go ahead and talk about Larsa right now. So the whole entire time while this is going on, Larsa and Lisa, they're going back and forth during the event to the point where, of course, we know Larsa, which I did not know that they called her this, but Adriana mentioned it and I love it. They call Larsa in her mouth larcenous, like an arsonist, but only he's larcenous. Like, basically, she just sets everything ablaze. Which, child, they're not lying. That's how her below belts go. She goes to hell every single time with her response. And so Lisa, just being extra sensitive, she just like runs out. She threatens to leave the party, and Adriana and Gertie go to comfort her. And then Gertie decides she's a self-help guru and tries to mediate the situation between Larsa and Lisa. But it's to the point where I'm like, Gertie, girl, you are doing too much. She wasn't mediating nothing. And she thought she was doing such a good job. She's like, job done. I'm out. I was like, Gertie. But anyway, we'll talk more about that later. But then later on in the episode, Larsa and Lisa do try again for a one-on-one to try to talk things over outside of the group. And it still initially did not go well. But then Lisa, again, is just doing her extra thing that she's been doing, just crying everywhere, being loud, being annoying. And to the point where, like, the one of the restaurant staff was like, can you take this outside? You're being really loud. And I could tell she was being loud. And the whole entire time she's like, talking to Alexia. Alexia's like, just try again. You already know she's a mouth. Like, why are you just so surprised by this? They do end up patching things up, but we don't know how long that's going to last, because as we can see in present day, they're kind of going back and forth. Well, Lisa is calling her out on social media, but I don't know if she's calling her out based off of what she's seeing on the episode or if she feels a certain way. I guess we'll find out. But that's kind of the end of the Larsa and Lisa thing for now. They both just like, look, we love each other. I don't want us to stay having an issue. Both of them just agree they want to patch things up. And so for now, it's done. Thank God, because I'm kind of done with this. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of the Lisa and Lars of it all. Okay, so then the other thing that I mentioned is Adriana. In this episode, she basically was one of the people who stepped up and was like, okay, this seems like y'all are all piling up on Lisa. And that's one thing that I love about Adriana. And I just wish we had Dr. Nicole too, because both of them, they serve this similar role where they do not let the ladies do their gang up thing that they do. because whether they're doing the gang up thing intentionally or not, that's just how it always ends up happening when it comes to the conflict with a lot of these women on the show. Because the conflict comes out in a group setting versus an individual setting. So it ends up happening that way. And Adriana is great that she, is supporting both Gertie and Lisa. But I know y'all are sick of hearing me say this, but I miss Dr. Nicole. I really hope Dr. Nicole comes back next season, with the vengeance, practice the reads. Don't take it to hell, but like also just be like, yo, we're not going to bully me. Like I took a little break and now we back. And also side note, I can't wait till the episode because I think it's in 2 episodes from now. We're going to see Dr. Nicole finally because I miss her. She was literally one of my favorite people on the show because she was like the only one that was down to earth. Everyone else was just extra because all these women are extra. Even Gertie, and I love Gertie to death, but she is extra. Especially when she was trying to be the mediator of this situation. I was like, girl, you are doing the most right now. It's funny, but you are doing the absolute most. Anyway, speaking of Gertie, let's talk about her real quick. Well, no. Before that, let's briefly talk about Julia, and then we'll talk about Gertie. Okay. Julia, she can still lead. I'm just so over her. And really in this episode, she made me even more upset. So I'm just done with her. I'm so done with her. Basically, Julia is still trying to pretend she's a victim of all this thing, the thing that's going on between her and Gertie. So initially, they're trying to talk to the ladies of work. So after they basically do this is the same event, by the way. This is after they do the game. They're talking about where all the women are at. So we know Larsa and Lisa where they're at. And then basically Julia's like, yeah, we're trying to, we're good now. Basically downplaying where they're at as if like everything is all good to go. Even though that is like not what Gertie said. And Gertie's like, no, we're not good to go. This is baby steps. Like what Julia thinks how the meetup went is not how it really went. Like basically Gertie's like, girl, no, that ain't that. And I love that she was calling her out and making it very clear, like, I got my good eye on you. We are not good. I can be cordial because I know how to conduct myself in public around people, unlike you. And so Julia in her confessional is annoyed because she thinks everything was supposed to be all good, but it wasn't. Even though she's the one who brought everything up. Because also, too, they're supposed to have this agreement where they don't bring things up in the group. They're just going to leave how they are between themselves. But the very first opportunity they get, Julia proceeds to talk about how they're doing in front of the whole entire group. Even though that was literally part of the agreement of how they're going to like move forward. So immediately Julia breaks her own thing that she suggested that this is what they do. And thought that Gertie was just going to continue and just, move accordingly to what she wants to do, which is freaking crazy. And so fast forward, they're playing the game. See, I'm kind of confused where they were at. If they're playing the game or the midway playing the game. I think they took a pause because of the drama that was going on between Larsa and Lisa. And they were asking questions. And Julia proceeds to ask these questions, basically passively aggressively going after Gertie about how she was upset and basically trying to like spin it to like Daniel about like, so what do you do when a friend like says some hurtful things about you and you choose to forgive them, but they don't forgive you yet? And then Gertie's like, well, what do you do when you get physically assaulted by that same friend prior to you making the verbal response? And I love how Julia just looks stuck on stupid because Julia, you have this horrible thing about you where you leave out the part that you did out of the story and how you were the one who escalated the whole entire thing. You just love to pretend that was not a thing. And the look on her face she was so upset that she got called out for basically physically assaulting her. because that's exactly what it was. It's physical assault. You throwing a drink is physical assault. Like, I know if we say this person threw a drink at me, that sounds like one way. But I love that Gertie stood on big businesses like, no, you physically assaulted me. I could have actually I could have pressed charges. Because she could. In real life, she could. You know? So I do like that she did that. And then the other, let's talk about the other thing that happened in this episode. Other than Julia being on her BS, she meets with the case manager for the boys that she's going to adopt. Apparently, that hasn't happened all the way yet. And then I'll be honest with you, I don't know what else happens in this scene because after I got that part of the scene, because I'm just very over Julia, I fast forward through the rest of it. I don't care. So, side note, if y'all, anyone here is a Julia fan, or you want a full-on review where I go over all the Housewives, I'm just about to let you know, again, this is 2025. I guess I'm a little bit of my own villain era. If I don't like a housewife, and I really don't like them, and I'm completely done with them, which it takes a lot for me to get to that point, I'm not going over their scenes. I'm just skipping through. Like the fact that I even gave her a little bit, that was me being nice. Anyway, moving on. Oh, the other reason why I have this energy for Julia is if any of y'all been on social media and y'all been on X and y'all saw some of what her wife was saying about surrogacy, yeah, them two as a whole can respectively go to hell. Also, I forgot to add, I really hope this is their last season. I feel like I need to say that every single time, every episode. But just in case, because I know like you have, just in case anyone from Bravo sees this review, I just need that to be known. It needs to be her last season. Anyway, let's talk about Gertie in this episode. So I mentioned how she decided she was going to basically be the mediator because she's like, hey, I can't fix my situation, but let me try to fix theirs. And then she was just being so comical and so unserious, but she was being annoying. I could see both of them clearly. So what happened was they went to a separate room, Larsa and Lisa, and basically Adriana left Lisa because she was comforting Lisa, and they were like, let's try to bring y'all together. Gertie then in turn sits on this queen throne while they're going back and forth. And I was looking for the picture. I really wish that I could have found that picture because that was totally going to be my thumbnail because I was dying because Gertie was being so not serious. And she's like, I really want y'all to patch things up. So every time when both of them were trying to talk and get each other's point across, Gertie would interrupt and repeat it, but repeat it in a more nicer way. But like nice, but like fast and extra the way she talks, to the point where they were both getting irritated with her. And it was cracking me up. And then she's like, okay, well, you guys good? You guys good? Oh, you guys aren't going to get done, but you guys are going to talk about it later on. Okay, well, my job is done. And then she leaves. I was like, Gertie, girl, what was that? Oh, she cracked me up. The other thing that happened this episode was we do actually get a scene with her and Russell, one of the best I feel like he is the best house husband of all the franchises. But anyway, they go to couples therapy for the first time. And what they're trying to do, the goal is they're post the cancer of it all. And they're trying to basically get back to being like romantic partners and switching the dynamic back because because Gertie was in such a vulnerable position with her health, Russell turned from being her husband to being a caretaker. So the dynamic of the relationship changed a lot. And so they're just trying to get back to where they were before things kind of went to hell, before the disruptor happened. And Russell, this whole entire time, and oh my gosh, I love me a good looking stoic man. I need to find me a Russell. Gertie, I know you found him back in high school. I ain't gonna find him in my high school, that's for sure. But well, no, I'm not. Or wouldn't. No. That would require me to move back home, and that's never happening. Um, anyway, I digress. I digress. And so Gertie is just very concerned about all of that. And we get Russell's point of view. He's like, you are a badass. What you did that. You are like basically essentially said that Gertie was his hero. And when she was at her lowest, she wanted to just be done and stop doing chemo and everything. And he said something to her that kind of helped keep her going, that we need you. You can't just like be done. We need you to fight this. And he's like, she's a fighter. Why would I? And so really what we find out in this scene, that this issue is more of a Gertie issue than a Russell issue. Russell is like, I will be there however you need me to be there. And I think him saying what he said to her was enough for her. She's like, okay. So I'm just being insecure about some things. And I mean, she definitely is going to be for a while. She literally just had a fight of her life. No pun intended. And the next thing that gets brought up is them two having individual therapy. Particularly Gertie. I mean, this is a housewife show, so we're not going to talk about if he needs her or not. We're not getting to his business. We're getting to hers. And we kind of hear more about how Gertie and her abandonment issues and how they started. You know, with her and another sibling moving to Miami from France, not really knowing English. They know French and they know a little bit of Creole, but they don't know English. And then the rest of her siblings were still in a different area. And that weird dynamic happened for like months, and like no one told anyone and all that. So she basically states she has abandonment issues. So she feels especially a way when she doesn't get invited to things. And so now we understand. I mean, honestly, I didn't need that to feel like be on Gertie's side when it comes to things, because it's clear that these ladies were trying to ice her out, or at least Julia was trying it. So I didn't need the extra backstory to realize that that's going to feel away, but it hits different because now you know especially why she feels a way about it. And so it apparently seems like she might end up going to more individual therapy about the whole entire thing. So that's kind of pretty much it for Gertie. Let's talk about Stephanie, and then I guess that's it. I almost forgot about her, to be honest with you. No offense, but let's move on. Okay, so first of all, what do y'all even think about Stephanie? And the reason why I ask this is because I don't think she's all right. And I think the problem is, what doesn't help is that she just wasn't just added. If she was just added on and Dr. Nicole was still there, maybe I would feel differently. But because they kind of swapped them, I don't think I'm going to like Stephanie long term. Let's just put it that way. Like, I guess I just don't see it. There's just something about her that I don't really like so far. There's something about her. But anyway, we do get a scene with her husband, and her parents. We find out that she basically is spying on her parents. That's kind of weird. And maybe that's what it is. She's kind of weird. She comes off weird to me. And I'm not trying to be judgmental, but like, I don't know. She's not, you know what it is? She's not relatable. I don't find her relatable, like at all. And what makes a good housewife is you have to be slightly delusional, have access to money, but I feel like there's still relatability there a little bit, and I don't see any relatability when it comes to her at all. It comes off as if she's cosplaying as a housewife. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe my opinion will change the more we get of her, but right now I'm just kind of like, meh, to the point where I'm not really invested in her story, and I feel bad, but like, she's talking with her parents, she's talking about how her and her siblings still have like that estrangement, and apparently their estrangement is not necessarily related to each other. Like the twins aren't talking to the parents either for another reason. And they're trying to resolve that. And then she jokes about how like her dad and her husband are like, is like, that's like the son she never had, but really like that's not really possible because the husband's only a year and a half younger than the dad. So it's funny, it's cute, but I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Oh, also too, I forgot to mention, Stephanie and Lisa kind of went back and forth a little bit at the event one more time. And Stephanie apologized for offending her and how she approached things. And Lisa accepted it, but Lisa, of course, was giving her a hard time about it. And I don't know. I feel bad, but I'm just kind of not as invested in Stephanie as I would hope for. I really do miss Dr. Nicole on this show. But anyway, that does conclude this episode of The Real Housewives of Miami. It was overall a good episode, but man, it's just missing some groundedness. That's what it is. And based off of my zodiac sign, you would never think I would want that in a show. But like, if you know the friends that I consider my close friends, almost all of them are Tauruses. And then like my dad's a Taurus. So I am just used to having some stability and down to earthness in my life. And I kind of want it in the show a little bit too. It's just, to me, everyone on this show is just so extra. I just need a little bit of down to earthness to balance it out. Cause it kind of seems all over the place at this moment. I don't know if y'all feel that way, but I kind of do. Still a good show so far. Still a good season so far. But anyway, forget about how I think about it. How do you feel about it? Put it down in the comments. That does conclude my review though. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. I will see you next time. Bye.